Good morning, Pioneers. Welcome to The Grit. My name is Connor Morrison.
And my name is Justice Cullivan. Let's get it started with this recap on the week's sports.
Finishing out their postseason this past weekend was both football and girls soccer. The football team traveled to Centerville on Friday, where they unfortunately lost 23-6. Carter Musgrove had 2 Pioneer field goals after a close game. After a close game against Dublin Jerome, girls soccer took a hard 0-1 loss in overtime.
Still active in their postseason, volleyball crushed Kilbourne in all 3 sets during the district finals and advanced to the regional semifinals. Boys cross country placed second in regionals and will be heading to states as a team. Notably, senior Sakith Rudaraju placed the highest on his team with a 6th place ranking. Good luck to all our Pioneer athletes who are still active in their postseason. Speaking of cross country, let's throw it over to Will Martin with a live interview with the head coach of the cross country team, Coach Walters.
Thanks, guys. So, Coach, why did you wanted to start coaching cross country?
When I was in high school, I ran cross country, and in college, I ran cross country at Otterbein, and it's something I wanted to do. Figured out about, at age 25, I was like, I want to coach.
Yeah. So, what does a typical practice look like for cross country?
Typical practice, we warm up for about 15 minutes, and then the guys go run. Some days that's a long run of anywhere between 8 and 12 miles. Other days it's fast speed work on the track, and then we do some sort of core work and cool down.
So, how excited are you for this state meet?
This is the 4th time in school history the boys team's made state, so very excited. We have Socketh and Matthew Schroff and Braden Allender were all region, and as a team we're looking to try and place top 10, which would be our highest in school history.
And then how does the team prepare for a big meet like states?
I try to emphasize we don't do anything different. A lot of times you can go into a big meet like this and try to want to give more effort, and that puts more pressure on yourself. So we've just emphasized all week, do what we've done the last few weeks, and good things should happen.
And then what expectations do you have for this team going into this meet?
Our highest finish ever at the state championships is 17th, so if we exceed that, that would be goal 1. I think we're really a top 10 team if we run pretty average, and so hoping for a top 10 finish, and we'll let the guys decide how high that might be.
All right, thanks guys. Now back to the desk.
Now
Hey Pioneers, today we're going to be taking a look at the cross-country team heading over to states.
This year, we've had one of the best seasons in school history.
My personal goal for states this year is placing top 5. I think we'll do better this year than previous years because we changed up training, so we're more fresher at regionals and state.
The boys cross country team won the OCC title, 2nd in districts, and then 2nd in the regional championships this past weekend is the highest finish we've ever done at regionals. It's the 4th team. Boys team we've had that has qualified to the state championships, so we're competing this weekend at Fortress OOHS, 2:45 p.m. on Saturday.
This season's been a good season for improvement. We took training a little bit differently with our coaching and our training plan, and it's paid off a lot. You can tell a big difference. Personal goal for states is probably an all-state finish, top 30 or top 20 ideally, and just perform and compete to help our team place the highest we can place. I think we have a great shot to place top 10 this year. Our team is coming around really well, and our training's peaking at the right point, and we competed good at regionals last week, so I think we have a good shot to place high.
That's all for today, Pioneers. Make sure to show your support for the boys during the 11th period drumline send-off. Now back to the desk.
The girls cross-country team placed 6th in regionals, which eliminated them from moving up. But with Brooke Chapman in 6th and Marin O'Brien in 16th, the 2 girls will be heading to states for their team.
As a reminder, for the quickly approaching winter season, boys basketball tryouts will be later today and tomorrow. Freshman tryouts are at 5 p.m. tonight and 8 a.m. tomorrow. Both JV and varsity tryouts are at 2:45 p.m. today and 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. Boys planning on attending should be sure to have their physical and final forms complete. Now for everyone's favorite segment, our weekly pick'ems. Let's get started with college football.
Well, I want to start off and say it's great to have you back on the show. Had a 2-week absence from some other things, but it's glad to have you back.
Yeah, glad to be with my partner.
Let's get started with number 5 Washington versus number 24 USC. This is debatably the 2 best quarterbacks in college football right now.
Michael Penix Jr. and Caleb Williams. I got Washington though. USC is they've been terrible. downright horrible at the past couple weeks. They lost 2 games straight. They did win against Cal, but in a close game. In California University is not a good team at all, and it was a close game. So I got Washington winning that one pretty handily, and yeah, I don't think it would be very close.
Yeah, I agree. I'd definitely take Washington. Obviously, they have Penix Jr. USC has Caleb Williams, who is debatably the best QB prospect right now. It's pretty up in the air right now who will go first, but I think that besides the QBs, Washington has a way more complete team, so they should be able to get that win pretty easily.
All right, and second game, number 2 Georgia, who has just been upserted by Ohio State as the number 1 team. They're going to be traveling to number 14 Missouri, so another really high matchup. Also got Georgia. Carson Beck, their quarterback, has really stepped into his role that Stenson Bennett left last year, and he has really developed. They also got a good tight end in Brock Bowers, probably the best tight end in the league. He will be out actually for this game, so maybe that will play some part. I think it'll be a close game, but I do got Georgia coming out on top against Missouri.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. I think Georgia is a really strong football team. They've had a bit of an easier schedule so far, so with their highest ranked opponent so far in this season with Missouri at 13, and also with the absence of Brock Bowers, I think this game will be closer than a lot of people expect, but I would have to agree that Georgia's probably going to be able to win this one.
All right, and then a Big Ten matchup. Number 9, Penn State, traveling to Maryland. Actually, it's not number 9 anymore. They're number 11 because of the new playoff ranking that just came out. They're going to be traveling to Maryland, and these are 2 teams that Ohio State has played. Handled both of them pretty similarly. Really good defensive showings against this. You know, I'm going to take an upset. I'm going to take Maryland in this one. I think Penn State is a better team, but I do think at home for Maryland, their offense with Taua Tagovailoa, Tua's little brother, he has been playing amazing. I think Drew Aller, quarterback for Penn State, is just not on the same level as him. I think Maryland wins this one in a shootout. High-scoring game. I think it would be great, though.
I think I'm going to have to disagree and go with Penn State on this one. I like Penn State's defense a lot. They're one of the best defenses in college football right now. I do think that Maryland has a very dynamic offense with Tua's little brother. I can't really pronounce his name. That's why I'm just going to call him Tua's little brother. But I think that Penn State should be able to handle Maryland. A lot of people think that Maryland should be ranked, and I don't disagree with them, but there's a reason that Penn State is the 11th ranked team. Their defense is really good. Offense, not as good, but it should be able to keep Maryland at bay.
All right, and then we got an SEC showdown between the Alabama Crimson Tide versus the LSU Tigers, and this is Jaden Daniels. You know, he's the Heisman leader right now. He's insane right now. Probably the best player in college football at the moment. They're playing Alabama, who's always a great team. This is one of their off years, though. I think for sure they're normally top 4 team in the country, and this year they lost to Texas earlier this year, but they made a good bounce back. I feel like. I don't know who I gotta go with, but I think I'm just gonna have to take LSU. I think Jaden Daniels will be able to outscore Alabama. Alabama's really struggled on offense with their young quarterback in Jaden Milroe. They have a good defense. I just think that LSU's offense is just so high-powered. I think that Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels will be able to take the win there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think I'm going to take LSU in this matchup as well. Alabama's let up a lot of points when it comes to high-ranked teams. They've had a rough schedule this year for sure. They've had a lot of higher-ranked teams in their schedule, obviously LSU being one of them. I think that Jaden Daniels is really good under pressure when it comes to these late games. He's able to command his offense in order to take them to a win. So I think I'm going to go with LSU.
And then moving on to closer to home, we got the Ohio State playing against the Rutgers. And normally this is a demolition. Since I've been born, I've seen Ohio State continually whoop the Rutgers every single year. But this is probably the best Rutgers team that we've seen in a long time. So I think it'd be very interesting. I still think Ohio State comes out on top. Kyle McCord, obviously not the greatest quarterback, but Marvin Harrison. I know I said Jaden Daniels was the best player, but Marvin Harrison, in my opinion, is actually the best player. So I misspoke there because he's just unstoppable, and I think he's going to tear it up against the Rutgers. And I think OSU will win this one. The defense is amazing. Everything is slowly coming together. They're now the number 1 team in the country, and so I think they come out get a pretty decent win.
Yeah, I'm obviously going to take OSU in this matchup. Like you said, I don't think there's been a close Rutgers game against Ohio State in my lifetime. I don't expect it to change this weekend, so I'm going to take OSU pretty handily there.
So move on from college football and move to the NFL. We got the Browns versus the Cardinals. And Cardinals are also terrible. They're like 1-7 this year. They are coming off a loss against my Ravens. They just got rid of their quarterback, Josh Dobbs, as well. He just was traded to the Vikings. So it'd be very interesting. I don't think they're going to win this one. The Browns have a really good defense. Myles Garrett's amazing. Everyone knows this. And I think the Browns go out and get probably a low-scoring win, a low-score win, but I think they definitely get that win.
Yeah, like you said, the Cardinals traded away Josh Dobbs right when he was starting to get comfortable within the offense. Josh Dobbs is one of those players that just gets moved around from team to team year after year. So I think he'll do well in the Cardinals, but I think that they traded him away because Kyler Murray should be coming back soon. It's questionable if he'll be back for this game or not. But I think whether Kyler Murray is back or not, the Browns should be able to take care of the Cardinals pretty easily. Their offense hasn't been great. Their defense also isn't too great. Obviously, the Browns' defense is quite good. The Browns' offense, it's as a Browns fan, it's pretty abysmal. I can't lie. But I think that we should be able to take down the Cardinals.
And next we got the battle of the teams to start with the letter B, the Bengals versus the Bills. And these are two great quarterbacks that have honestly been pretty just not the best what they were playing like last year. Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow. But what we saw from Joe Burrow against the 49ers, he was tearing it up. Jamar Chase just had a connection again, and I think this would be a really good game. The Bills have been saved us so many times on bad calls. They've had so many close games. They very easily could be one of the bottom teams in the league. So I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. I think that they're starting to actually play like the Bengals that we're used to seeing. I think Joe Burrow is starting to play like Joe Burrow. And I think that this game will not necessarily be very close. I think that the Bengals will go out there and get the win.
I don't know which team I'm going to take here. I think that the more that I look at it, this Bengals team looks like the Bengals teams that we've seen in the playoffs the past couple years finally. Obviously, they had our first rough couple weeks. Joe Burrow was injured and was trying to play through that injury, wasn't playing great. Now that I think he's fully recovered, he's playing like an MVP Joe Burrow again, and obviously Jamar Chase has been doing much better as a result of that. I think that I am going to have to take the Bills, though. Josh Allen hasn't played his best season so far, but I think that he should be able to handle the Bengals. I think that while the Bengals are getting back in their stride, they aren't fully there yet, and I think that the Bills have been in stride recently, so I'm going to have to take the Bills in that matchup.
All right, and then next we got the Dolphins versus the Chiefs, and these are two high-powered offenses. I'm going to take the Dolphins, mostly because I have Tyreek Hill on my fantasy, and I really need him to do well. And the Chiefs are just overrated, in my opinion. They just lost to the Broncos somehow, and I think that that's a big momentum killer, losing to the Broncos. So I think that the Dolphins go out and outscore the Chiefs and pretty handily, and I think they win that game.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs' loss to the Broncos was definitely surprising. However, I am going to take the Chiefs in this matchup. The Dolphins are 0-2 against teams with a winning record, which is pretty surprising when you look at how high-powered their offense is. I think that the Kansas City defense should be able to really shut down Tyreek Hill. Obviously, they had Tyreek Hill on offense a couple of seasons ago. They should know a lot of what he does well. They should be able to stop him from doing well. Other players on the Dolphins, like Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, they might do well against their matchup with Kansas City, but I think that Tyreek Hill is the X factor on that team. If he has a good game, then the Dolphins have a good game and vice versa, so I'm going to take the Chiefs in this matchup.
And one last game, a rivalry that is not very big here, but it's a very big one in Dallas and Philadelphia. That's the Eagles versus the Cowboys. And Eagles are 7-1, the best team in the league according to ranking or standings. They had a close win against the Commanders. Obviously, the Cowboys have really good defense, but we've seen them have a lot of flaws. I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one. I think that Dak Prescott really looked good in the last game. CeeDee Lamb really looked good in the last game, and I think that the Eagles just barely were able to beat the Commanders, and I think that the Cowboys will be able to go out, stop the Eagles' offense a couple times, and then go score some points, and I think that they win the game. It'll be close, though.
I think it'll definitely be a close game, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Eagles here. Obviously, they have A.J. Brown, who in the past couple weeks has been really competing with Tyreek Hill as far as who is the best wide receiver in the league right now. And then they also have a really strong run game with DeAndre Swift and Jalen Hurts, who's able to run the ball, maybe get shoved in the end zone. But I think that while the Eagles haven't played nearly like what they played last year as far as skill-wise, I think that they still should be able to beat the Cowboys. Obviously, the Cowboys have been a very good team, but they've had some losses against teams like the Cardinals that just don't really make sense when you think about the teams that are facing up against. So I think when they're put up against a good team like that, they should have the Eagles winning there.
All right, and that's it for our pick'ems.
And that's all for our sports show this week. I'm Connor Morrison. As always, be sure to support your Nears in action this week.
And I'm Justice Colvin. Thanks for turning into the Grit, and roll Nears.